So we know that there are a lot of car brands out there that have dabbled in the perfumery world. We have Ferrari, Mercedes, even Lamborghini. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a $20 cheapie that I purchased off of Amazon. This is from the brand Alfa Romeo, and this is one that surprised me in a very pleasant way. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on Alfa Romeo Black from the self-titled car brand, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode, I do want to start things off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. Also, make sure to click where it says enable all notifications, because a lot of subscribers are claiming that they're not getting notifications for my videos. And of course, please give this video, if you enjoyed it or took something of value from it, it would greatly assist with the algorithm here on YouTube. So I decided to purchase this fragrance just because the note breakdown looked enticing, and I had certain expectations of what it might smell like. I'll get into that a little bit later on. And at the end of the day, I drive an Alfa Romeo. I drive a 2022 Giulia Veloce, and I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and try this just to see if it is worth anything, if it's of good quality. And I was actually quite surprised to see that the perfumer is Cristiano Canali, who is a perfumer based out of Argeville, which is in France, if I'm not mistaken. He's done a lot of other fragrances. Bee by Zoologist. He's done Romanza by Masque Milano. So he's definitely done a lot of niche and designer fragrances. And here is a fragrance that had a really interesting note breakdown. There's ELEMI resin, grapefruit, rose, woods, and an Alcantara accord from what I read online. Now, guess what other fragrance also has rose, woods, grapefruit, and ELEMI resin? As a matter of fact, it's a Midsummer Dream by Roja Parfum. Is this a $20 alternative to a fragrance that is worth hundreds of dollars? I'm going to tell you right away, but let's go ahead and start things off with the presentation. So as I mentioned earlier, this had a really interesting note breakdown, and this is a brand new fragrance. Just came out in 2021. Cristiano Canali is the perfumer, and this could actually be a designer car brand fragrance that is worth the 20 bucks that you might find it for on Amazon, which is where I purchased mine. It opens up very bright. It has that bright sort of bergamot grapefruit thing happening in the opening. It's not overly tart, and I am thinking of a few other grapefruit fragrances like Tiger by Bulgari. You're not going to get that per se, but it does open up with this very bright, fresh, kind of a generic freshness in the opening that I actually find to be really nice and really pleasant. Of course, as is the case with most citrus fragrances out there, you're not really going to get a vibrant citrus note that lasts more than 10 or 15 minutes because it's very volatile in nature. What ends up happening afterwards, though, is it kind of has like this spicy resinous thing happening in here. So it's kind of like an amber accord that is on the side of dry rather than on the sweet side of things. And that's because there's no vanilla in here to speak of. It's not listed in the note breakdown, and I'm personally not picking up on anything sweet. So if you were kind of expecting like a sweet amber, this fragrance is not for you. It does have nutmeg in the heart though, and my experience with the note of nutmeg is that it's used in a lot of oceanic type fragrances. So there is kind of like this fresh motif kind of happening in the heart of the composition, which I think is really, really nice. Now, the ELEMI resin is quite subdued, and this is where I kind of was able to dispel any notions or assumptions that the fragrance would resemble a Midsummer Night's Dream. There's like a 20% similarity, and that's pretty much it. So I was kind of bummed in that regard, but my spirits were also lifted in the sense that it does smell good, right? So it's a really decent fragrance. And I was wearing it just casually the other day, walking around the house and doing whatever I was doing. I think I was cleaning the kitchen or something. And my wife walks in and she goes, "Oh, I like what you got on today." And I was like, of course you do. She doesn't like many of the expensive fragrances in my collection, which is really a bummer because I personally love so many of them, including my Rojas. But she really liked this one, which is good. So I'll keep it around. especially for when I'm just lounging around the house or whatever. And so I was really pleasantly surprised by this fragrance. It does kind of have like these generic smooth woods in the base, and I'm more inclined to say that there's like a cedar wood happening in here, but it is on the synthetic side of things. And of course, with a price tag of like 20 bucks, or maybe it's a little bit more than 20 bucks, depending on the seller, what can you expect, right? So you're not going to get anything ultra sophisticated or glamorous or anything like that, even though the fragrance itself conveys sophistication and it conveys professionalism and class and refinement, so on and so forth. It does kind of convey itself in a professional manner, which I really do enjoy. It doesn't smell too much like, you know, a casual, easygoing, aquatic, oceanic fragrance, although you do have a little bit of the nutmeg and the heart, which might put you in that mindset temporarily. I've seen people online compare it to Dark Rebel by John Varvatos, and that is kind of like a juniper berry, spicy, leathery fragrance, and I totally see what they mean. I think this one does have a little bit of that dark personality. The funny thing is that I don't like Dark Rebel by John Varvatos. I don't like Dark Rebel, and I don't like Dark Rebel Rider either, and I mentioned that in my review of both of those fragrances. But there's something about this fragrance that is actually not as astringent as the John Varvatos fragrances, and I do love many from the brand, right? But there's just something about this fragrance that it comes across smooth, classy, elegant, very much like how I would imagine a professional shirt and tie individual conducting themselves. I would imagine them smelling like something like this. So it definitely gives off a really nice vibe. I think it's very versatile. You can wear it despite the season, occasion. Anybody of any age would really appreciate this one. And I do think that it smells modern. So I think this fragrance has a lot of things going for it. And if you have an extra $20 bill burning a hole in your pocket and you want to try it, why not? I don't think you're going to break the bank with it. So at the end of the day, the verdict is, I think it's a really pleasant fragrance. Definitely one that's worth checking out. And that has inspired me to try the red variation on the market, and I recently started following them on Instagram, and it seems like they have 2 or 3 fragrances available. So I'm gonna see if I can also get my hands on some of the others for a really good price. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, this is fairly unique. I can't really compare it to anything else. I thought I was going to be able to compare it to a Midsummer Dream because it has like 4 notes in common and they are really, you know, star players in the composition. Doesn't smell too similar to it. If anything, it smells like a less astringent, classy version of Dark Rebel, which I also find to be classy, but it just has too much of that juniper berry in there to be to my liking. But it's woodsy, it's smooth, it's on the dry, ambery, resinous, ELEMI kind of a side, and I think it's really pleasant. Longevity on this one was about 6 hours. Projection was great for the first half hour of application, a little bit beyond an elbow's length, not super loud projection. It became an elbow's length scent right around the 3.5 to 4 hour mark. It became a skin scent right around the 6 hour mark. So the performance could be a little bit better, but given the price that you pay, you can always afford to reapply throughout the day. In terms of the versatility with the spices and the resins and that earthy touch, it does lean a little bit masculine. Anybody of any age can wear this one. I think there are some darker ingredients so that you can enjoy it in the colder weather, but I don't think it's so heavy that you can't wear it in the hotter weather. So all year round kind of a scent, really good versatility. Anybody of any age, you can wear this one casually because of the price tag. You can wear it formally because of the DNA. In terms of the presentation is actually pretty cool. Do like the logo. Really inexpensive, cheap plastic cap. There isn't much to it. It doesn't really click into place either, but it is a snug fit. You can pick it up from the cap, no worries there. My final verdict on this fragrance is if you're looking for a really affordable, cheap fragrance, if you want to buy a gift for somebody, or perhaps you drive an Alfa Romeo and you want to satisfy your curiosity, check out Alfa Romeo Black. I think it's a decent fragrance for the price that you're paying. I think it's a no-brainer. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.